Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus midday Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetzky, Andy Kamenetzky, Luka Doncic meets the media in El Segundo Tuesday morning. What did he have to say? Andy was there. Talk about it next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts, always free, never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, which you might be watching right this very second, is where I'm just going to say 30,000 subscribers. Thank you to all these new people who have joined and subscribed to the page. We deeply appreciate it. So yeah, we're basically at 30,000 subscribers. That's where you go to leave questions, leave comments. We try to be as responsive as we can. We're in that page every day, answering questions, responding to stuff. We use stuff from that page on the show. So please try to be as interactive as possible. We really do look there. Do want to let everybody know that this little mini episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every day more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. So, Andy, Luka Doncic met the media in LA on Tuesday morning, and you know it was a big deal because the Lakers were serving food.
Yep. And I clarified the catering spread that was out there was not just for Luka himself. Boom! Kidding. It's a joke.
The Nico Harrison joke right there.
It's a joke. Relax. No, the Lakers were fully aware that this was a very big deal. We've joked before that Rob Pelinka is not one for subtlety in these sort of moments. And, his near opening comments after thanking Anthony Davis, thanking Max Christie, thanking Jalen Hood-Schifino, thanking Nico Harrison from the Mavericks as being a good trade partner and all this. But he said, quote, "I think Luka Doncic joining forces with the Los Angeles Lakers is a seismic event in NBA history. The reason I say that is because we have a 25-year-old global superstar that's going to get on stage with the most popular and influential basketball brand on the globe. I think when those powerful forces come together, it brings basketball joy to the world because that's how Luka plays. He plays with joy." And he later said, when you think about kids in Barcelona or kids in Buenos Aires, children in Shanghai or Sydney, they're going to be wearing a number 77 Luka Doncic Lakers jersey and bringing joy to basketball just like he does. And that's why it's powerful. Rob Pelinka may be prone to the flowery and the grand statements. We all remember Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, manna from heaven. In this case,
reading The Alchemist, passages.
Yes.
These are the things that, if you're new to the Lakers, these are things that literally have happened.
No, we're not making
press conferences.
We're not making jokes. We're relaying history.
Right.
But in this particular case, 100% correct. This is a massive seismic event. Seismic is actually a great word to describe it.
It's Shohei-like. I'm not saying that Luka is the same level of star. Maybe he is. I don't even want to have that discussion. But it's that type of global super. Anthony Davis is a superstar. He is a domestic NBA superstar, and a fairly low key one at that. And that is not a criticism of AD. It's the reality. Luka is not only a superstar in the NBA, he is a global star, and that, no question, is something that the Lakers were very interested in. And you start to see, you get all these people in the room, and Rob clearly was very pleased, rightly so, with the work he did, and had a big smile on his face, and relaying the details of how this went down. But it starts with Luka, and his reaction to it was the same as everyone else's. He's like, what? He said, I had to double check to make sure it wasn't April 1st, April Fool's Day, and this was some sort of prank. He found out, I'm not to say at the same time as the rest of us, but not a whole hell of a lot earlier than we did.
No. And he said that it was a, quote, big shock, that it was hard at first, which is understandable. I mean, he said in his goodbye to Dallas, and I think it was sincere, and all the reporting surrounding Luka's time in Dallas had been that it was mutually if not expected, anticipated, hoped for, however you want to put it, that Luka could be the next great lifer, that franchise, like Dirk Nowitzki was. Well, I guess it's a coincidence in terms of when Luka happened to enter the NBA, but from a emblematic, poetic standpoint, it's not a coincidence that Dirk's final season in the NBA coincided with Luka's rookie season. You have that true passing of the baton that everybody within the organization, including Dirk, who tweeted out a surprised face when this happened. Mark Cuban has, through Chandler Parsons on the running back show with Michelle Beadle and Lou Williams, the two of them are very tight. Mark Cuban has expressed surprise with this, and I think soft disapproval. Nobody expected this, including Dončić, and it will, even though he sounded excited for this next chapter, it's going to take him a minute to adjust, and I don't blame him.
Here's the part of this that I think works really well for Lakers fans. Luka, while he said a couple times, I think, I'm not going to comment directly about what they said or this or that, or he said, kind of talked about taking the high road and not getting into a battle with Nico Harrison about comments that he made. He's pissed. Like the stuff that was said about him on the way out of Dallas, he did acknowledge it hurt, but it made him mad. And you and I always make the joke, like for years, like in Portland, they would pull strings and do all kinds of stuff that they could do to make sure that Damian Lillard didn't make the All-Star team. Because afterwards, he'd be so angry at everybody. He'd go out at like February, March, April, and average like 38 and 15. Like he was so mad. Luka is, he said, very motivated by what was said about him by Nico Harrison on the way out the door, the reporting of concerns about his weight, unseriousness, conditioning, all of these other things, and an angry Luka Doncic when it comes to the idea of needs to be more. That's a great thing for the Lakers.
The hope for Laker fans inside the Lakers organization is that this motivates Luka, and you get the equivalent of the woman who has a bad breakup and reacts with her revenge body. And that Luka he's going to emerge this season and moving forward, svelte, showing a little leg, wearing something a little low cut, and reminding everyone, I look fine. You could have had this, as I go destroy the Dallas Mavericks, who have now landed on the list that the famously competitive and petty Luka Doncic has been keeping, that includes everyone from, I guess now, Nico Harrison to someone like Chris Dunn. Like apparently everyone's on this list.
I want Luka to have so much vitriol for the organization. I'm not talking the people of Dallas, the fans of Dallas. Great city, great fans, all that. I want him to be so angry at the Mavericks for what they did to him that he's going to take it out on anybody, not just who plays for the organization now, but maybe ever played for them, maybe has been to Dallas before, played in that building. Like that's close enough. Like I want him to be that motivated. And it is interesting to me as well. Like you saw right away, very prominently, the infrastructure that Luka had around himself in terms of his personal trainer and guys like that they had run out of the building. Nico Harris had in Dallas.
Harrison.
All those guys were back. Like they were there. And, the Lakers are, bringing those people back to Luka, both to make him feel more comfortable. Those are the people he wants around him. Lakers are going to cater. So, that infrastructure, the Lakers wisely, I think, brought right back and made sure, like, who do you want around? LeBron has his own people. There's no reason Luka can't have his own people.
Yeah, and speaking of LeBron, Luka said that he has spoken briefly with LeBron. It sounded like LeBron was cognizant the way Luka talked about it. Like, look, I know your head is spinning, and I get it. But he did say that LeBron reached out pretty quickly and that he appreciated it, and that LeBron has been his idol like for a long time. He described it as a dream come true to play with LeBron. Markieff Morris, former Lakers champion, and Maxi Kleber were also there. They did media afterwards. So, it really would be Luka's moment. But, Markieff has played with LeBron, and he noted that there are things that LeBron can teach Luka in terms of just reaching that next level, whether you're talking about in terms of conditioning, fitness, commitment to that side of it, or just that little piece that Luka may still not know as somebody who hasn't gotten all the way over the hump and winning a championship. And LeBron has been there, done that as anybody who's ever played in the league. LeBron was not there. I would not read anything into it.
It's a game day.
Right.
He's got a routine.
The game day, and also look, if LeBron does show up, then all of a sudden people are going to say, "Oh, LeBron won't even let Luka have his moment."
Sort of steals the right.
Right.
Exactly.
I would read nothing. I've heard a few people read into it. I would read nothing into it at all. As far as what comes next, though, I mean, I asked Rob towards the end of the press conference just what it meant in terms of the big picture and designing a roster and the planning that you do as a GM. And all these guys look 3-4 years ahead, just knowing that you have Luka Doncic, that's your roadmap, hopefully for a decade. And he said, quote, "It's a gift. We're talking about a 25-year-old that is a top 3 player in the universe. I can't think of a more amazing starting point to build the roster for the next decade. I know he has the drive to win that we have. Our fans are going to see that every night on the court. I know up here he may seem calm and casual and quiet, but we know the alter ego that comes out. We'll see it at crypto.com arena soon, and I can't wait for it." Like, Rob was rightly through the moon with this, and he should be, because we've talked before about like the idea of this season, especially with LeBron now 40, Anthony Davis still in his prime, but the back end of his prime. And you and I think, have been as patient as anybody who covers this team with the idea of they don't have to go in all in every single second. Like, you can take a beat, think over stuff. You don't want to just make big moves for the sake of it. But we'd reached a place where it's like, if you're not going to commit now to LeBron and Anthony Davis all in, given how little time, forget with LeBron, that you even have with AD in his prime, then you need to make a very active choice towards pivoting out of it. This was not the move I expected, but this sets them up moving forward in ways that it's so valuable for Rob to have that clarity moving forward.
For sure.
The immediate, we'll talk about it. Rob acknowledged there's some TBD in terms of this season, but the big picture, it is other than maybe San Antonio and Wemby, I don't think there's a team in the league in OKC with Shea.
Okay, there's Shea and Chet and Jalen
OKC,
Williams.
That setup, the Spurs, and I would say now the Lakers are probably the only teams that have this type of clarity moving forward with this type of runway.
And I think two things about that. The first thing is, Rob seemed to imply that, obviously the big need is center, and
he was asked.
The market is thin, but that they're, sort of
dry.
And, you wouldn't expect him to be like, we're going to do whatever we can. Like, we're in the final, 30 something hours of this. And, he's just not going to be out here negotiating against himself in the, Pelinka. He's probably wondering if Nico Harrison is anybody else in Dallas that he'd like to get rid of. But
rhymes with Daniel Gafford.
Right. I mean, I hear that guy, Nico. I've heard terrible things about Daniel Gafford.
It's my understanding, Derek Lively, that dude never stops eating. Ever. I'd get him out of there. Bad influence.
I've seen him at the club at 4 or 5 in the morning on a Tuesday.
He eats during games. It's disgusting.
Bad
Get him
thing.
out of there.
He drinks vegetable oil.
Oh.
So they'll try to make a move, and they're going to be looking around for it. But I think that we'll quit here. But Lakers playing tonight against the Clippers. Will obviously be back after the game. It's part of the reason we wanted to come on now, because after the game, at least some of that will be taken up with talking about the game. The thing that I think annoys opposing GMs most is that clarity that you're talking about, that the gift that they were given. And Rob's right, it is a gift, it's not an overstatement, because the Lakers were going to have to spend at least 2 or 3 or 4 seasons kind of wandering the wilderness, probably, after they break it all down, to try to have to build it back up. I don't know if they're going to win a title with Luka Doncic. Nobody does. But they skip that process because they've got their star, and it's not one of these situations where they're going to be forced to sign some guy like Joel Embiid who's injured, and it's going to, or Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, where the risk is just so massive, and eventually it's going to kind of probably crater on you. He's 25,
right?
25.
Yeah. There's risks with everything. Like there's always
that's the part that has the rest of the league so angry. So anyway, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out, again, with over 30,000 subscribers to the channel. We will be back, Andy, later after the game. But first, this.
Well, that Locked On Lakers is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags? We often hear about red flags that we should avoid, but what if we focused more on identifying the positive signs in our relationship, those red flags, the green flags? And if you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify them, actively practice them, even embody that green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building friendship, or just working on yourself, therapy can help you form relationships that love you back. I can personally attest to the effect therapy had on my family and I, positive effect during a really difficult period, just helping all of us communicate better, be heard better, make compromises in ways that don't leave you feeling empty or inequitable, whatever. It's very, very useful. BetterHelp makes it easy by offering online therapy for over 30,000 licensed therapists to choose from. And if you need to switch therapists, you can do it at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. It's on Sunday, people. You may have forgotten with all this trade talk. One game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com today and get started. Again, you bet just $5. You can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. $5 for $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, the official partner of Super Bowl 59. We will see everybody after the game.